Alright, so now that our CAN model is ready, we can start the simulation and animation. Before we jump to that, let's just prepare a few more stuff and complete our scene. I'll get rid of these planes we created earlier for lighting purpose. We don't need them. We'll be creating new lights for the final scene. These were just for preview. And yeah, align the objects properly. Just so we are going to create few things like obviously we need a camera and a background plane, and we need light setup. Okay, so yeah, just cleaning up the scene a bit, and hide the drop object we created. So we are going to create a background plane. Yeah, hide this one. So place it somewhere out of the camera view and hide it. Let's create a plane and rotate it in 90 degree. Place it right behind the CAN objects we have created, and go to the edit mode, select the edge at the bottom and extrude it. Press E and extrude it in Y axis, and scale it in X so that the entire camera view is covered properly. We are going to select this edge in the center and give it a bevel. Press Ctrl B and make it pretty smooth, and make sure this is a double-sided plane, or the normals are facing the correct side, so that you can if the back face culling is off, this side of normal will not be seen in the render view, or it will not shade properly. So we are going to flip the normals. Quickly search flip normals in the search option. Alright, I'm going to save this file just in case if we need this for later. And I believe this, in top view, just making sure the things are facing in the right direction. Okay, make sure there is enough distance in the background, like a room, so that the walls are not seen and stuff. Let's create a new scene, a full copy, and name this as scene 1. There are going to be 2 scenes, and one is I named it as assets, and scene 1 and scene 2. Name this as a collection 2. Sorry, we are going to place our lights and cameras in this collection. First, let's just create a camera so that we can set up our view and plan things accordingly, like how much simulation and animation we need. Okay, so click on the lock camera to view, so we can navigate and just place the camera without having to move the actual camera, like a 3D navigation. So this is actually moving the camera now, and pretty basic stuff. Name this as scene 1 camera, and sensor, sorry, not the sensor, but the focal length I'm going to set slightly higher, so that there is not much of distortion in the CAN models. Like it's a close-up shot, and I want the lines to appear view and the lines to appear straight and not distorted. Maybe 70 mm. I'll select the camera and let's just try 80 mm. So the lines look straight now, and I think the 80 is good. Just testing out a quick pan, and Now we are going to create a shader for a background plane. It's a pretty basic shader with a few reflection and glossiness, like a roughness map. I'm going to name it as a BG plane, and principal shader, make it dark. It's going to have a very like it's going to be reflective surface, but we are going to see some scratches and lines, we'll use a surface imperfection map for that. Let's just import our texture and connect it to the roughness. This one, the fingerprints, I think I bought this from Polygon. Yeah, this one is from polygon.com. They make a pretty good textures. Let's just press Ctrl T and bring in our mapping coordinates and make it generated. And let's see, I think we need a UV will be just trying it out. Okay, so we are going to unwrap this one very quickly. First, let's just see the Alright, so we are going to unwrap this one and select all the faces and go to the UV editor and press U and unwrap. Let's see, select the UV from here. After you select the faces, you need to press U and select unwrap, in case I didn't mention it. So yeah, so as you can see, there are the highlights are broken now in the background. It's instead of just a flat plane, the reflections are roughed up. It's okay, so I'm going to make the camera view, like block in the camera view, and so these cans are not going to be like in the same line. There's going to be depth, like one first shot the silver can is going to be in the front and the green will be in the back, and there will be a splash. And in the second shot, the green one will be in the front and the silver one will be in the back. Just playing with the tiling of the background plane texture. I don't want too many of patches, just enough, so that now 5 is 2.5 maybe. Alright, so we are going to bring in a shader for the environment, which is volume scatter. It's going to basically fill the environment with the volume. It works pretty good because right now if you see the space, it looks empty, like there is no particle or any information in the background. The objects are there, they are receiving the good light, but it somehow lacks the atmosphere. So we'll quickly place a emission plane here and see the difference what we are talking about. So right now, as you can see, the environment is not really receiving the light. It's like how you have a dust particles or the fog. So all that stuff in the room or in the air, it receives the lights, and the interaction is much more natural. It looks photorealistic when so yeah, density, we definitely need to keep the density very low, else it's going to make the scene very dark and foggy. So I used 0.001, and let's just duplicate this plane and see what's going on here. So what it does basically is the environment, the volume scatter shader is going to receive the lights as well. So instead of a light like black or white, like a negative or positive, you are going to see gradations, like the distance of, as you can see here, the lights are going to create halo around him. Like without the volume scatter, there is no interaction between the light and atmosphere. I use this because all the specular and lights, and it looks photorealistic. It brings like much more realism to the image. Okay, so the HDR we are using in the environment is no longer affecting our scene because of this volume scatter. The density is not letting the HDR light pass through it. So the only lights which are closer to the object like are going to affect the scene, but not the HDR unless you make it very high intensity. So let's just delete these temporary lights and create an emission plane, like a studio light, and place it on the right side. We'll give it a emission shader, make a copy of it and place it on the left, make it emission, and select the same material here. Let's see what's going on in the render. Yeah, so for this we want the light to be very clean, like not distorting the object. We don't want like too many lights or like too many shadows intersecting or like disturbing the form of the object, but something which is neatly sculpting the object in the shape of the object in the render. And the form should be very readable and should not like interfere with the aesthetics. So like you can see all the highlights are running smooth and vertical, and we definitely need a light in the background and foreground. This one area light we are going to create for the rim, like we want some highlight on the outer edges of the can from the back side, and this will also affect the fluid, the drink splash we will create, and create nice caustics. Basically the splash is going to shine, this light is going to shine through it. Make it not so warm, maybe slightly less warm, I think. As you can see, there is a very subtle effect, but not quite enough. But let's just leave it for now, and we'll adjust it again. Sorry. Okay, so I definitely like spent much more time than this when I was actually working on the project. So I experimented like many other options. So you would want to like give it pretty significant time so that like our actual final render is very like appealing and not rush to the any like quick results you get. It's good to have a mood board in front of you before you start experimenting, so you know what is your goal. Alright, so I created two more lights in the top right and top left, slightly diagonal, and these are affecting the rim of the object and the overall scene, basically the ground plane as well. And bring it in the right next to the can so that we can see the effect. Make a copy, and so instead of one hard light or two hard lights, I'm using multiple lights with slightly varying values so that the overall scene is like equally lit. But on the right and left side, I've created planes for the strong vertical highlights, and also the top part, which is silver. I really like the highlights which are going on right now. Let's see. Yeah, so the two diagonal lights we created are creating a good rim, but we need much more light in the foreground, like the brand name and the can is looking much darker, very darker. So maybe, yeah, 300 intensity. We are using much higher intensity because of volume scatter shader. If we turn that off, the scene is going to look very bright. So like I said, it's important to have a mood board in front of you because lighting is a very important subject, and one can easily get lost when trying to experiment in 3D viewport if they don't know what the aim is, and when the timeline is tight and you wouldn't want to just experiment with the renders. Okay, so maybe one more light in the front and give it very little intensity, maybe 30. Let's see how the cool color looks. Alright, I think this works. We are going to bring in more elements and see if we need to adjust it further. The Blender text on the green can is looking slightly dark. I think sorry. Oh, I see. The node is not connected. My bad. Let's see if we can make it more readable in shader. I think if I make a separate shader for Blender text and increase the brightness, maybe. Okay. Okay, so I'll bring in an emission shader and mix it with the Blender text shader, like the silver shader we have, and let's see if we can bring some better results. You wouldn't want to make it too bright, else this will look fake, like a glowing object. So maybe very slight value of maybe 0.1. No, 0.1 is definitely not working. Yeah, so this looks better, I guess. Text is slightly more readable. So for now we'll keep this lighting as it is, and make a copy of entire scene for the next scene, which is the opposite of this, and we'll tweak those things as we see the whole result with the other elements like splash and stuff. So I'll make a copy of the entire scene and name it as a scene 2, and bring this object, I mean this can in the front. Sorry, I'll select the green can and bring it in the front. Just cross-checking. So okay, so I'll make a copy of camera just in case if something goes wrong, and name it as scene 2 camera. Let's create a preview and see what's happening. So yeah, the lighting is we are not going to change the lighting, it's the same setup. So this works for now, and we are going to start the animation before we start the simulation, so that just in case there is any interaction happening between the drink splash we will create, it's better to have the objects animated for any dynamic possibility interaction between the objects. So the animation is going to be pretty simple, like you've seen in the storyboard. It's more of like revealing shots. Yeah, so the length is going to be around 90 or 120 frames. Okay, so for the animation, the cans will be rotating, like from the text will be facing not towards the front, like the bottles will be facing opposite sides, and as the camera moves towards them or reveals the shot, the brand name will come more in the focus and rotate towards the camera. I'll create a key for this can and go to the last frame and rotate it towards the camera, something like this, and press I and create a rotation key. I is for setting key, IR, and rotate this towards the, like the both of the cans are kind of facing each other now. Very simple animation. In the starting they are facing outside, and then the both of the cans are facing each other. Let's just adjust the timing a bit. Select the, I guess it's a Z rotation. Yeah, Z rotation. and we want the ease in and ease out to be much slower. Yeah, just like the curve editor, like when we were dealing with the curves, if you are not able to move the handles, you press V and set the handle type to free. So the can is rotating much slower at the starting and the end. Same thing for the green can as well. More ease in and ease out. So yeah, you can use your regular shortcuts, like if you want to move it in X and Y, you can just press like horizontal or vertically. You want to move the curve, you can use your movement commands here in the curve editor as well. I'll select the camera, and so the another element is going to be depth of field, which will be animated. So there is camera movement, the splash, can movement, and the depth of field. Let's just enable the depth of field in the viewport and set the focus to something. Yeah, I think we need to tweak the parameters a bit. I'll create a focus point which will be used as a target for the camera. F-stop needs to be much slower for the effect to be seen in the viewport. I used very small value for the f-stop, something around let's see 3. We want like a very blurred effect for the can in the background, or any object or drops in the background or foreground should be like totally blurred. So for that let's just tweak the value for much higher settings. So, yeah, something like this. So the focus distance, for the focus distance we are going to use an empty object. Right now we are like adjusting this manually. It's better to have an empty object, and like how you use camera target. I'll create a empty object, shift A and select empty, and camera focus, scene 1 helper. Select the camera and assign this empty object as a focus, or you can also type the name of the object in the field as well in case you're having difficulty. So now when I move the empty object in the like back and forth, the camera focus is shifting. So this is what we are going to animate. So at the starting the focus is going to be on the green can, and slowly it shifts to the silver can. Okay, so let's create an animation for this focus object. I think somewhere around the shift of the focus will not start from the starting of the sequence. Somewhere till the frame 30 the focus should stay on the green one, and around 70 it should focus the the transition should happen, something like this. Let's see if we can tweak values any further. So yeah, for the blades I'm using 6 sides, like the hexagon. These are the number of sides used for the bokeh, like whatever objects are like blurred in the depth of field, it creates a bokeh, and like the hexagon will be used for this one because of the 6 sides. I'll hide all the lights. Sorry, is there a way to hide the light without affecting the scene? Okay, so same thing we are going to do for the scene 2. The rotations, the cans are going to face the opposite side starting in the sequence, and we rotate them inwards and the shift the focus. Select this can, the green one. Okay, we just switch the render type to EV so that we can see the depth of field and stuff. So there is nothing special you need to do for previewing this in EV, like all the shaders and stuff, all like what you do for the cycles, it's the same thing. So I'll create another empty object. For the camera focus, and select this and name it camera to focus helper or anything you want. Press I and give it a location key, and somewhere around frame 70 move it to the front can and press I and location key here. I'll select the camera and give it slight motion. Unlike the first shot, there will be slight motion in the camera here. Camera will move down a bit. I'll select the camera and first let's just assign our focus object. In case you're having difficulties, just type in the name of the object we created. So yeah, as you can see, the shift of the focus is happening here, but we need to animate the cans. It looks pretty stiff. Face it outside and create a key. Press I and rotation. I and rotation, and sorry, first let's just rotate it inside and like towards the camera and set a key. You can always use auto key, but I'm kind of scared of using auto key. In case I forget to switch it off, there are keys all over the places, so it's better to use manual keying. So similarly, I created keys for the green can as well. So we are going to create motion for camera as well. Select the camera at frame 1, press I and location key, and the last frame press G and Z and move it down slightly, and press I and location for the key. So pretty subtle and clean animation happening. So this is all for animation. I think we can start our simulation part now.